Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of this little guy. This is the Ruike L11 style slip joint here. First off, though, I want to thank very much Indiana Knives. This is a small shop over in the Bloomington, Indiana, and he donated a bunch of knives from Rake for me to check out because they're a brand I'd been curious about. I liked some of their stuff in the past, and he donated a bunch of them under the condition that at the end of the reviews, I put them all up and do a charity raffle for ALS research, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, Lou Gehrig's disease. And I absolutely 100%. That's a cause I want to support, and it's win-win for me, so great. Thank you so much for that, Indiana Knives. Next thing, let's do a size comparison right quick. This is not a tiny knife. This is the large version, by the way, being the L11. There is also an M11 and an S11, I believe. So, anyways, you can see here, though, that blade length-wise, we are actually right in Rat 2 territory in terms of usable blade. 3.5 inches here. And here it is against the Rat number 2. I'm sorry, Rat 1 territory. This is the Rat number 2. Guys, long day. But anyways, so there's that very much. And so size-wise, that's where we're at. Next thing, who the heck is this company? This company, Rake, is owned by Phoenix Lights, the same people who make the flashlights, and manufactured by the San Renmo, which is a company that, well, makes knives. And actually, they generally do a pretty good job. But you can tell that by the clips, for instance, which are shown up on San Renmo Knives Forever, etc. And then finally, this is going to be a quick review because that's kind of where it deserves. And it honestly, there's no disassembly, partly because slip joints can often be very difficult to deal with because you have to get this spring back under tension, and partly because I don't know that this knife deserves that. So it was just 15 minutes of my life that I don't think is merited. So anyways, let's go ahead and talk about what's good about this guy and what's not so good about this guy. Give a final conclusion. On the good side, first off, as you see in here, this has a very nice blade polish. Absolutely 100%. This is a nice knife in that domain. It's very attractive, and, you know, it's very unusual for you to get a very nice polish like that on these lower end bases, so that's good. Next thing, this has a very nice sharpening choil on the blade here. You can see here it is absolutely choilated. You've got yourself the entirety of the plunge goes within the sharpening choil. The bevel is just right there. It's nicely done. I got to say the choil is absolutely great. Next thing, this guy is a pinchable open knife. As you're going to see here, I don't tend to like nail nicks. And this one, having a relatively thick top, is a little more frustrating still. But the thing is, I can very easily come in and grab it and pinch it open myself. And that's absolutely great without the use of a nail. That's something I always appreciate, although maybe if they give me a little bit more of a divot to do so, that'd be nice, but at the end of the day, it works fine. No issues there. Next thing, there are 3 different sizes of this guy. This is the big one, the 3.5 inch guy. Here, I'll pull up a ruler so you can see that it is, in fact, about 3.5 inches, although actually it's a little less than that, but whatever, it works out. So there's this guy here, and then there is the smaller one. And you know what? I like the fact they're giving us the options. Anytime we get options, that's a great thing. Next thing, action-wise, this guy has a relatively stiff back spring here. It really does take some doing for this guy to shut. It's not going to accidentally shut on you during the course of using. And so, you know, that's a very nice thing. I'm a fan of the stiffness of the back spring, and frankly, other companies have done much worse recently. You know, Hinderer and even the Benchmade Proxy wasn't super stiff, so it's nice that they got that right. Next thing, price-wise, is doing pretty good. I found these guys listed at $25. That's a pretty solid price. Next thing, this guy, and probably the thing I like most about this guy is the fact that right down here, in the bottom of the heel of the knife here, we have tweezers. That's right, they actually included tweezers with this knife. This is something that I have not seen happen outside of like Victorinox, Swiss Army knife, multi-tool kinds of things, but I kind of love. I'm going to be honest with you here. There is so often these kind of gaps in the scales here that it would be really cool to see more knives just including a pair of tweezers. And especially more in the traditional pattern. It's so unobtrusive. Yeah, maybe they fall out down the road, but who the hell cares? Then you've lost your tweezers. You're in the same place you would have been otherwise. So I love that they included a set of tweezers, and a set of tweezers that's good enough to actually reach down and grab a hair or something like that. Tweezers are one of those things that's great for your everyday carry, and to have those always with you here, beautiful idea. And so to me, that's what's good, is that it has tweezers, and that really needs to be a thing more often. It's got a nice price, nice stiff back spring. It is 3 different sizes available for you. It has a nice pinchable blade. It is a nice sharpening choil and some beautiful reflectivity there, which is good. On the bad side, unfortunately, they need to use freaking names. L11B, really, guys? No. Just call it the Ruike Slipjoint or something like that. Give it an actual name so anyone can remember what these things are. Next thing, unfortunately, the steel on this guy is 12C27. Look, 12C27, it's a fine steel, but, you know, it feels like, considering that a lot of their other knives, even in the same price ranges, are coming in at 14C28N, which is a better one. Why are you cutting the corner here, Rike? Rake. They're not Rike. Rake and Rike are two different people. Guys, this is why they need a new name, like yesterday. Which you could put into bad, too, is that this is not how rake is pronounced. I don't care what you have on your website. Anyways, I digress. Yeah, opinion, I know, whatever. But anyways, that's beside the point. Next thing, this guy, unfortunately, even though it is a slip joint, has no half stop. Most slip joints will stop the blade at a certain point, which allows it to not come flying shut onto your finger unintentionally. This guy has no such thing. There's an area where it kind of slows down where the tension is released, but there's not like a snap in the middle there, which is honestly something I'm not a huge fan of, especially given that I'm used to them. That's, I feel like, something they should have added onto here. Even a light half stop would have been very nice. Next thing, unfortunately, this is not ground like a traditional knife. Traditional knives, one of the best things they have going for them is a super thin grind. This guy, although it's not bad, is not super thin, and in fact, part of the reason for that is that the blade stock is weirdly thick. Guys, it's a traditional slip joint knife. You might as well take advantage of one of the things that traditional slip joints do best, which is using thin blade stock. I mean, seriously, why are we going this damn thick on a slip joint? There is not such a thing as a hard-use slip joint. Well, okay, Spyderco pits and whatnot, but still, no. Guys, I'm sorry, no. That just kind of bothers me. Speaking of things that shouldn't happen on a slip joint, why does this knife have a glass breaker? Like, seriously, at what point did somebody sit there and go, okay, we're making a slip joint. Let's include tweezers. That's a great idea. Tweezers used to come on there. Let's include a pocket clip. Well, it's a little avant-garde. Whatever, we can try. Oh, let's put a glass breaker on it. Perfect! That's what all traditional knives need. No! And I'm not beating it up because it's being non-traditional here. I'm beating it up because, guys, why'd you put a freaking glass breaker on it? I mean, if this was something that could be, like, easily unscrewed or something like that, then maybe, I guess. But it's not really the case that rescue slip joints are a thing. So honestly, this just feels to me like the marketing team noticed that there was a bin of glass breakers next to it and said, hey guys, let's put one of those on there. Then I can put another bullet point. And they think, like, no, they're not thinking about it. And then finally, speaking of not thinking, this is a left side tip down knife only. And I know what you're thinking, Nick. No. You can put the clip on whatever side you like it. But the thing is, look at how the knife hangs. The knife hangs down so it's curved out this direction, which means that this hugs the inside of a left pocket rather than the right pocket. Now, to start with, the fact is that most knife people either have no preference or prefer tip-up carry. So, guys, get on it. But more importantly, I mean, to target this knife by curvature, specifically the 10% of the population, well, actually probably closer to the 30% of the 10% of the population who likes left side tip down carry. Really, guys? Really? And so that really, it's just like, okay, you can carry this in the right pocket, it works, but it's hanging wrong, it's contoured incorrectly. It's just like, no. And this is just another one of those cases where it feels like they were just not freaking thinking. And so that to me is the bad, is that it's left side tip down only for some damn reason. It's got a glass breaker on a slip joint. And by the way, one of the other downsides of tip down on this knife is that the tweezers, if they're going to come out, are coming out from the bottom there. So why not put them at the top? I digress. But then it's got a glass breaker on a slip joint. It feels weirdly thick, and it's not ground super like a traditional. There's no half stop. 12C27 is an okay steel, but it seems weird when they're using 14C28 and everywhere else. Then why are we not using names, Rake? Damn it, come on. Final conclusion. This is a fine knife, I guess. I mean, it cuts things. It's safely strong in the spring. It's well priced at $25. Okay, sure. And it does have tweezers, which is the best thing I can say about this knife. But it's also kind of weird. It's got the thick blade, the thicker grind than a usual traditional, a glass breaker on there, left side tip down only. Honestly, this knife, it feels like, and that's been my theme for the morning, because this morning I have looked at 3 different knives from Rake. This guy, which can't open worth a damn. This guy, which has a just absolutely nail-destroying nail nick on it. And then this guy, which puts a glass breaker on a traditional style knife. And all of them just leave me feeling like they're not thinking their knives through. Rake had an initial batch of knives that were really incredible. Knives like this little guy right here, who's the 801 or the 108, 108. This is a really incredible knife that I feel like was very well thought through, that had all kinds of great ideas. They've got the Hussar, etc. And so their first round of knives that I think they really spent a lot of time on and got started with were really incredible. And then they did this second round. And in this second round, there are a bunch of knives that no one was freaking thinking about. It honestly feels like they've gone, like their workflow is they sketch a knife and then they make 1,000 of them and then they send them to the U.S. And it's just like, no. Because look, at some level I understand the desire to just like throw a bunch of designs at the wall, see what sticks and make more of those. But the problem is, what the end result of that is that your brand ends up getting watered down. If you are a company that makes 80 crappy knives and 5 really good ones, then you are a company that mostly makes crappy knives. I'm sorry. And that's not a brand I'm ever going to trust to buy. In the future, if I see Ruike on there and it's like, well, there's a chance it's going to be something really incredible, like the 108 here, or the 801 for that matter, or the Hussar, you know, then it's going to be like, wow, okay, I really like, if they're only making the good knives, then great. But if they're mostly making really crappy knives that they're not sure if they're going to stick with, then they're just a company that, and so that's what kills me here, is it's just like, this is a company that can clearly do great manufacturing, and that when given a great design can clearly design a great knife. But they're just not thinking these things through. They're just not doing the things that their market desires, or maybe just that I desire. But I'm having trouble believing that anybody was looking at this knife and thinking, oh yeah, glass breaker. Oh, and left side tipped out only, yeah. And hey, let's make the stock like super thick and no half stop, because none of those things make sense. And so it just feels like they're not thinking these through. It's just like, yeah, we made it, ship it. And then that's a problem. And so to me, ultimately, this particular knife of those 3 that I just showed you is the one I like most, because it is carryable, it is usable, it is a knife that actually, you know, functions, and that I, you know, it's like, okay, it's in the wrong damn pocket, and but it's okay. But ultimately, they need to do better than okay, and I don't feel like this surpasses it. I have hope for a couple of other knives from this batch that don't seem to suck. At least I haven't fully carried them yet, but they need to stop doing this. And so, anyways, that's my final conclusion, is that this has a lot of really good potential, and I want to give them props for getting into modern slip joint. That's a thing we need, and I want to give them props for trying some things, particularly the tweezer approach, but they just need to think these things through. That's all. Ruike, think it through. Just please do it. Anyways, hope this has been interesting to you, and have yourselves just an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.